Welcome back, everybody. It's time for another installment of the best show that nobody's watching. This is the Get Off My Lawn podcast. And I'm glad you're here because technically, if you're watching this, then I can't really say nobody's watching it, can I? So thank you for making me a liar. I appreciate that. It's 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. Today is what is this? May 17th, 2023. So if you are catching this after the fact, you'll know roughly exactly when we did this. So real quick here, we are going to get into some of those normal announcements, and then we're going to have some fun tonight and just keep it light. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Kind of go from there. Real quick, if you are catching us live, we want to know that you are out there. So drop some comments there in the comment section, the live chat over on YouTube. We're actually not on Rumble tonight since I never get anybody live on Rumble, and then all of these do eventually transfer over to Rumble anyway without me having to take the extra time to put the live one up there. And then there's two of them, and I got to go back in and delete. So I think we're going to try and grow Rumble, not on the live side, but if I start getting more comments and more views over on Rumble and people are saying, hey, bring it back live over here, we'll watch over here, then yeah, we'll bring that back. So that is not live right now. We are live twice on Facebook. So we are also in the Get Off My Lawn group. If you're not part of that group, you should go check that out. If you're on Facebook, especially if you follow the Sandhills Media page, then you definitely belong in the Get Off My Lawn Facebook group. So you can watch right off the page, or you can watch in that group. Either way, but we want to know where you are. So get those comments in there. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe on all the places we are: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. So please help us grow all of those avenues. If you are on multiples, then we would love it if you would follow, subscribe, whatever it is on all those multiples as well. Of course, we say this every week because it is true. We are a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out this show and other great Second Amendment and freedom-related podcasts over there at sdrn.us, Self-Defense Radio Network, sdrn.us. Go check those out. Tonight's show, as always, this season is brought to you by Sandhills Defense, which is my firearm training company that we started up here about a year and a half ago now. You can find us at sandhillsdefense.com. You can reach out with calls or text messages to 402-851-0726. You can like the page on Facebook. Please go and help us grow that. We also have a Sandhills Defense classes and students group that you can go join over there. We offer firearm safety classes, women's handgun classes, concealed handgun permit, private lessons, home defense, hopefully soon AR-15 self-defense classes, and some children's safety. So more things coming all the time. Also coming soon, constitutional carry, which is not the same as the concealed handgun permit class. You'll be able to tell the difference in the descriptions once I get that one done. So go check us out, and very proud to be able to sponsor myself this year. All right. And just before we bring in our esteemed panel of hooligans, I do want to, of course, mention that the views and opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the individual expressing them and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host or the other panelists. We are not offering any medical advice nor legal advice. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. We are just some people that know what we're talking about. So you should listen, but don't come back and sue us if you follow our advice and it turns out that it was worth what you paid for. So it is worth the price of admission. All right, let's bring in some folks here on the panel and say hello real quick. So first and foremost, we've got everybody's favorite tactical teacher over in Lincoln, Travis P11 in the house.
Dude, this is going to be a good one. I've got so many gun pet peeves, yet there's so many that I cause myself. So I mean, I'm going to be totally, just totally digging myself in a hole here because I do a lot of these things, but there's so many things that over the years just drive me nuts.
You know, the walking contradiction. That's perfect.
Basically, yeah, that's what it is. So,
that is all right.
Yep.
All right. So not deep underground, actually above ground tonight in an undisclosed location. We've got Pat in a sprayer. How are you, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Having to work a little late tonight, trying to get stuff in the ground, and yeah. So if you hear some weird noises coming from the cab, it's I have little alerts and stuff that let me know that I'm not going to run into anything. So, which is nice.
I would much rather have the alert that says you are about to run into something instead of the one that says everything's clear.
Right. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on tonight. Hopefully everything holds together and I can stay on the show the whole night.
You've got to talk to that boss. They're just running you ragged, and I don't know whose butt we need to whoop for you, Pat. But we'll talk to him if you tell us who.
Well, I'll tell you what. It ain't much of one, but it's mine. So there's not a lot of butt left there to whoop.
All right. Well, we got to leave something for your missus to chew on too. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, there's got to be a little bit left in there.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, also, this is another all Nebraska panel tonight. We have got Joe hanging out with us, who is, of course, on the board with me for NFOA. How are you, sir?
Oh, not too shabby.
Good deal.
Life's finally slowing down. I'm actually looking forward to talking to you and Pat in the sprayer, and I guess if I have to, Travis as well. But you know,
never said
come on,
that
Joe.
before.
Hug it out, Joe.
I'm
not even from this town that I live in. No, I'm not even from. I'm from a small little bohunk town called David City. So give me a break.
I don't know how to feel here. I don't know how to act because normally Joe is picking on me. He's never once said that he's actually looking forward to talk to me. That's the
Doyle rules.
No, they're just picking on the fat kid, so that's it, John. I'm taking over that title. So. Yep. All right, I'm used to it. Love you too.
All right, so I think Pat, I'm just gonna throw you on mute just so you know. That way, when your sprayer's beeping at us, we don't. Well, I thought I was gonna throw you on mute. There it goes. Okay, that way we don't have the beeps taking over the show tonight.
Well, if he'd stay away from things and watch his freaking booms, we wouldn't hear so many beeps,
No kidding. Yeah, the boom beeps. Okay, before we get rolling.
Yeah, it's telling me not to run into stuff.
Okay, well, I was a little concerned that it would beep when you're not running into stuff, and then if it goes quiet, you need to look up, or I don't know what that happens. So, out there in the chat on the YouTube side, we've got Kingpin, we've got Sandhill's Sweetheart holding it down in the chat for me while I run my mouth. Over there in the producer's chair, Defense Dad is happy he gets to go home now. G-Webs is out there. Mr. Knives is out there. Gizzard Gary's out there. Jeff Moeller's out there. Travis is out there and in here. He's doing some sort of.
I'm telling Knives the free chicken's going to be here soon. So
we don't sprechen Sie el Españolish.
Well, he does. So I'm just trying to reach a new audience for you, John. That's all.
That would be cool.
Right. Uh-huh.
That's what I need. I need an overdub.
We'll do that for you.
Travis
I can do that.
Do the voice
in real time.
Spanish.
That's right.
But you got to change your voice to make it sound like a soap opera.
Me llamo John Anderson. Y esta noche tenemos el Afuera de mi yarda, este podcast de Sandhill's Defense. Muy bien.
Yeah, that's what I've been missing in my life right there, and I know now.
Mi amigo Joel y Pat y John.
Nope, change my mind. It's really annoying. Okay.
Lo siento, amigo.
You're giving me flashbacks, Travis. You're giving me flashbacks.
Hola, me llamo Joel.
Over on the Facebook side, we've got Steve Widener checking in from that South Dakota place, and then must be somebody that is actually in the group, because it doesn't tell me the name when you're commenting over there in the group, the Get Off My Lawn group on Facebook. But I do see you out there, Facebook user, whoever that is. Hey Woods, we see you too. All right, so tonight we're just going to have some fun and get some stuff off of our chest. And sometimes it's difficult week in and week out to just pick a topic. And sometimes I want to find these topics that, we can really just dig into something and have real meaningful conversations. And then other weeks I just get lazy and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's talk about killing zombies or something like that. So when you see stuff like this, it's not always because I'm ill prepared. Sometimes, yes, that's the case. Sometimes it's just, there's been so much intensity that, it's good to just have a night to just keep it kind of light. So I try to keep things balanced out a little bit. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, just 4 of us, maybe more. And of course, you out there watching live, get those comments rolling in the live chat too, because you get to take part of this discussion. That's the best part about watching live is you can be part of the conversation. And if your comment pertains to what we're talking about, we'll get that up on the screen as well. So we all have pet peeves. And when it comes to firearm owners, if you spend any time at all on the interwebs, you can find out very quickly that firearm owners are no exception, that we all have pet peeves as well, especially about other firearm owners or other firearms or, just in general. Now, I can pretty much, I think, speak for everybody that is listening to me right now, saying that we all hate it when the legislators try and control us, right? So when it comes to pet peeves, we're not going to get into the politics, the laws, and that kind of stuff. We're just going to kind of keep it about firearm owners in general and just the people, whether it's somebody that or somebody that you've talked to online or seen run their mouth online, or people at the gun range that you don't know, people at the gun stores, all that kind of stuff. And that could be on either side of the counter even. But, just in general, we're going to run through pet peeves. And if you've got multiples, then, we'll cover as many as time allows tonight. And we'll just keep everything a rolling here. So I will lead off. I have had people before when I'm at a gun show, not so much in a gun store, but if you're at a gun show, somebody's walking around, and most gun shows won't allow loaded firearms in the door, and that's an insurance liability thing right there. But I've worked some tables at gun shows with NFOA, and after my firearm is shown to be clear, then I can throw it back in a holster and open carry an empty firearm around inside the doors there. And I've had people before that, they want to ask me questions about the holster or my gun or whatever. And they want to feel it. They want to hold it. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And this is kind of two-sided here. Number one, don't ever ask anybody to take their gun out of their holster, whether it's at a gun show and it's cleared, or you just see somebody open carrying, unless that gun is intended to be fired or taken, cleaned or whatever, taken off at night and stored. But out in the world, unless that gun is intended to get used, it should never come out of its holster. That's just asking for trouble. So don't ever ask anybody to do it. Also, if you're out and about and you are the one carrying the gun, don't shuck your gun out of your holster. I mean, honestly, no good can come of that. Only bad things can happen. We've got a loaded firearm that is now pointed somewhere, and if you're out in the world, there's not always an easily designated safe direction to point the thing, right? So especially indoors when there's concrete floors or whatever. So just that's one of my first biggest pet peeves, is just to say, if you're carrying a holstered firearm, then leave your firearm holstered, and unless an emergency arises, that's the tool to deal with it. And then of course, judicious marksmanship always is approved and appreciated. So if you guys want to talk about that, expound on it, bring your own anecdotes, we can cover all that stuff, and then we'll go to the next person.
You carry a Glock, right?
Sometimes.
No, don't worry. I'd never asked to see yours anyway.
It's okay. I wouldn't show it to you if you wanted to. Sometimes it's a Glock. Lately, it's been a lot more of my little pocket gun, or one of my little pocket guns. So with warmer weather and not wearing a jacket, it's just real easy to throw something in a pocket and go about your day. So I've been doing that.
I'll get one out there for you. Oh, go ahead.
No, my wife's making fun of me. I got my headset on, so all she could hear is my side of the conversation. So I had to mute real quick because she's like, that did not sound right to say. I'm like, if you listen to the podcast, you get the whole thing.
Didn't feel any better. Didn't feel any better. Nope.
Sorry, Travis. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. I got to go with, let's see. Man, even my own family's guilty of this one. Everything that goes into rifles a clip.
Yeah,
it's a clip. But the funny part is I bought a Savage bolt action. I've talked about this before many years ago. And it says includes 1 12-round clip or 1 10-round clip. It actually said on the tag that came on the gun. Even Savage Rifle Company called it a clip. I'm like, what is this? Is this like, are we talking Boys in the Hoods here? Pass me a clip. Is this a, is this a gangster?
You've got to understand, though, that clip was not always the wrong word for that. And Savage is a company that's been making firearms since the 19th century.
But I mean, a magazine and a stripper clip are not the same thing. I mean, they're mechanically totally different. Yeah, they have the same.
We agree.
Intent,
and I know that, and you know that. But
yeah,
you got to remember that in up to and shortly after World War II, detachable box magazines were often called clips, especially for handguns. And that's why you'll still hear old timers. There aren't that many World War II vets left.
My dad calls it a clip.
But even the Korean War and Vietnam War vets will still call it a clip because, and you know what? Again, just what you said though, Tupac or whoever, Boys in the Hood. I mean, we are inundated with some pop culture that still today uses that word. So even though it might grate on your nerves, and even though it's right, it's wrong. I mean, I agree. It's not the right word, but that one's not going away anytime soon. I know that much.
No, I know. I wouldn't expect it
to. I'm glad my wife didn't hear this part of the conversation because she knows that just annoys the crap out of me. And she'd be like, is my other clip? Did you reload my other clip? I'm like, it's a magazine. She's like, clip. And I'm like, Good. No, that's not good.
I wish she could hear me when I say thank you, Mrs. Joe, for picking on him when I'm not around to do it.
She doesn't need any help.
Pat, do you want to chime in here real quick? Pat might be frozen. He's for sure muted, but Pat may be frozen out there in the field too. We'll skip Pat. We'll move over to Joe. What's one of your pet peeves when it comes to firearms or firearm owners?
That's a lot of it, and everybody has their favorites, and I think one of the things we tend to forget sometimes is different people have different firearms that actually fit them. It's like my wife ended up with a 380 Easy. I wanted her to get a 9mm just because ammo's cheaper. I carry a 9, one size fits all type of deal. But in the end, I realized that, she needs to have a firearm that she's comfortable with and that fits her.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the main thing. And because of that reason, she does carry. And I think that's one of the things that really irritates me is we have a lot of good people that know a lot about different firearms, and there's always positives and negatives to everything. And I think one of my biggest pet peeves when talking to somebody about firearms, especially for concealed carry, it's like, I call them meatheads, but basically you get these guys out on the range that they're the best of the best, and if you don't agree with them or their opinion isn't if you don't think they're just spouting total wisdom, you just about want to pack up your stuff and leave a gun range sometimes. It's like you should be able to have a conversation and say, it's what fits you. I'm not a fan of Glocks. I'm really not. To me, it looks like a carpenter designed a stinking thing. And
I would have never guessed.
Yeah. They have both one thing in common. When they're empty, you can beat somebody to death with them. It's just the way it is. But, to each their own. I know some guys that love the Glocks because you can, and because I don't carry one, but I think, what is it, like a 22 lower, you can like switch out with like a 43 upper or 19 or something. I got buddies that can tell me all this stuff, and it's like, don't care.
Right.
But I mean, they enjoy them because they're able to tweak them to their, and there's a lot of different setups that you can do with them. But I think that's probably my biggest pet peeve is, when you have somebody that's trying to learn and you over inundate them,
yeah,
they just glaze over. And I see that a lot at ranges, in my opinion. Somebody will ask a simple question and they walk around almost more confused after they got done than they did before.
Nope. Very good. Woods says, pet peeve for gun owners that their CCW is the ultimate choice. I would substitute EDC, but their everyday carry is the ultimate choice for everyone. All of their guns are bad choices, which dovetails right in with what you just said, Joe. Yeah, just because it works great for you doesn't mean it works great for any of the rest of us. If it works great for you, then good for you. If you're happy with yours, I'm happy for you. But that doesn't mean that I need to like it as much as you like it, or depending on what it is. If you love your Sky CPX2, I'm happy, but I'm not going to trust my life to your stupid gun. So I know Travis will, but
no. I did until it started failing me, and then I realized maybe that was not a good choice to have. Thank God I never needed to use it for more than one shot. So yeah. No, mine fell apart within 1,000 rounds.
Hey, I got a good example today, guys. Actually, I was talking to a gal today that actually she has a little revolver, and she found a little semi-automatic that she liked. So she got it. And she took it home, and her husband wasn't particularly happy or this or that, and didn't think it was a good choice or a good fit. I don't know. She didn't really go into a big explanation, but she ended up taking the firearm back. And she carries that. She does have that revolver, and she's a little bit of an older gal. And I got to brag on John a little bit today. So, his show, I got to brag on him, I guess. Yeah. Okay, Doyle, just keep your pants on here for a second. No, but she did take it back. And I said, the thing with a revolver is, as you're getting older, and I talked to another gal about something similar today. Funny, I had 2 conversations about this. But with a revolver, you end up with, what is it? Like a 4-pound pole on some of those to be able to cycle the hammer. And as you're getting older, your hands are getting, in some cases, right.
It's probably a double digit. So your average double action revolver pull is over 10 pounds.
There you go. And so you have older people that their hands aren't as strong. It's a female, and they're starting to get more arthritis in their hands. And she wanted the semi-automatic. And I said, I have a friend that actually lives up in your area that has Sandhills Defense. So that's my 10% off, John, plug for any future classes. So anyway, that has Sandhills Defense.
That's fine. I charge you double anyway. I'll give you 10% off.
I knew there was a hook in there somewhere. But I said, whatever points, and I didn't push. I said, whatever points he was stating, I think changing from something revolver, because I noticed a comment over here about somebody carrying a revolver and revolver and Woods, like revolver shaming. And there's nothing wrong with a revolver. I have a couple buddies of mine who are former military. They love their revolvers. But in their case, I said, get a hold of him. I'll get you the information. And maybe some of the really good points that your husband made as of right now, John could help either teach or even with both of you through a couple classes. Since through the NFOA, we're trying to do other classes as well. It might be able to answer your concerns, because I feel that, number one, on a 10-pound pole, you're going to stick your finger in a lot farther into the trigger, so you have a better grip, which means you're going to pull to the right and you're going to jerk. And both the gals are both right-handed. They're like, yeah, we always shoot to the right. I said, that's why. So with a semi-automatic,
can be part of it.
It can be, correct. But I mean, generally, if you're sticking your finger all the way up to your second knuckle to try to get a good grip on it to pull it, you're almost every time I've ever seen they pulled right. I said, so with a semi-automatic, you'd be able to have a lot lighter trigger pull. You'd be a lot better shot. If you're having everyday carry, I would feel more comfortable knowing that you had a softer trigger and you were on target than trying to jerk the gun to fire it. So you might have a couple people hitting you up here, John.
Cool. Yeah, we just 2 nights ago we had another women's intermediate pistol class, and that's part of that class is the different kinds of handguns, the different kinds of actions, the pros and cons of going revolver or semi-auto. So yeah, that's all kind of fresh in my mind, and both of them are right and both of them are wrong. Everything depends on the person. So, and that's one of the biggest things that I tell people is when you're trying to pick out the right handgun for you, and keep in mind that there's probably not one perfect handgun for you for every situation. That's why most of us have more than one. It's like a pair of shoes, boots, whatever you got. I mean, I don't know anybody with only one pair of shoes. Then they wear it every day to every occasion. You've got nice ones to get dressed up and go to events. You've got shoes or boots that you work in that get messy. You've got when it's warm, a lot of us wear sandals. I mean, there's just so many different kinds of shoes out there, and the ones that fit me and give me the cushion and the support for my feet and my lower back and everything else, those might be terrible shoes for anybody else. So I can recommend brands of shoes, and I can tell you which ones I wear maybe, but I can't say that that's going to be the best thing for you. So you're right. I mean, there's so many different variables out there. That's why knowing somebody that's got guns that you can try, or going somewhere and renting them, yeah, definitely a better way to go there. Gary says, get your wife an Uplula, Joe, so she can load her own clips.
He could take his clips and never mind.
Defense Dad says he's thinking of carrying an Altor in each pocket just so he doesn't have to reload, which I don't know why you wouldn't. That actually, if you get like a sash tied around your waist and stick a brace of pistols in the sash, then you could be like Captain Jack Sparrow or any other pirate of those days, with a couple single shot pistols, which is why you need so many of them if they're single shot. So
the bandolera, who is the Mexican bandit, early 19th century?
Pancho Villa.
Pancho Villa. There we go.
Pancho
I can
Villa.
see Defense Dad now.
His homeboy. Yep.
That's right. You see him with the bandoliers across.
Altors.
Bandoliers.
Right.
Well, hey, if the ATF keeps having their way with this, we're all going to be shooting Altors here pretty soon. I'll be back on flintlocks before you know, and a double barrel will be considered a high capacity, firearm. So yeah,
that's no kidding.
John, let's throw that one out there, man. The idea of I noticed a couple vendors online say that this AR-15 comes with a high capacity 30-round mag, like Classic Firearms, and I think PSA mentioned that in their ads for their guns.
They call them high capacity.
Yes, if you look up the guns on there, it says includes one high capacity. I'm like, because people complain in the reviews, they'll put 1 star and they'll say, please quit calling it a high capacity magazine. They go, standard capacity magazine. Furthermore, what's considered high? What's considered high capacity is the 32 round Daniel Defense mag considered high capacity because it's 32? It's just 2 more than standard, or what sets the bar
to answer
high?
That question? We look at history,
yes,
and we look at different states and different cities that have legislated such a thing. So if 30 rounds is high capacity, then we cut that down to a 20 round magazine. No, we better go to 10, an arbitrary number, but 10 is safer for everybody. That way, you don't have those other 20 rounds. Oh my gosh. Well, 10 wasn't enough. So now we need to go down to 7 rounds. oh my gosh, you know what? They're just buying more magazines that only hold 7 rounds. So now what should we do? Well, what if we limit them to 4 rounds?
PMag 5s.
Right? Exactly.
With a stopper in it,
5-round magazines. What if what if that doesn't work? We can go to single shots. Well, what if they're still shooting each other? Then what should we do? It's such a stupid, again, the slippery slope term gets thrown around ad nauseum, but there's a reason why we say slippery slope, because it is. And once you start going down that road, you don't ever get back up that slope. You just keep slipping further and further down. And there is no arbitrary made up magic number where you could ever make the gun control crowd happy that is more than 0. If it holds 0 rounds, then they will be happy. But that would also be not just 0 rounds in a magazine, an ammunition feeding device. It would also be 0 rounds in the chamber. If you walked around and you could only have no ammo, then they would be a little happier. But then we'd have these scary, assault clubs or something that they'd go after. We've seen this in other countries. England, it's very, very difficult to own a handgun in England legally. People started going after each other and committing violent crime with knives. So the city of London tried to regulate knives. And I mean, again, where do you draw the line? What if we get rid of all the knives? Well, first of all, you're going to have to just chew your whole steak because you won't be able to cut it up. There will be no more chopped vegetables because chefs won't be able to use them, right? But I mean, if we're going to go down this ludicrous line of thought, then what's next to outlaw? What else are people going to use in London to brutalize each other? They'll start using blunt force objects. Eventually, they'll go to hands and feet. And pretty soon you have to start cutting people's hands and feet off, I guess, to regulate that. I mean, it's a completely ludicrous line of thought, but that's where it ends. I mean, there's no way to keep the people happy that want to control you, and that's gun control's never been about guns. It's always been about control. We all know that, but
I believe in good gun control, both hands.
Yeah. Gun control to me means if there's a gun in the room, I want to control it or have a lot of faith in those that do.
Right. I think we ought to just, if it all comes down to it, we just need to go back to all reliable. I think that when we all carried battle axes and maces, we were a lot better society. Just saying.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. Speaking of battle axes, you leave my ex-wife out of this. So anyway,
if we see John Arson start screaming, "Oh my eyes," we know his producer nailed her with the mace. Just
it's
saying.
like pillow fly across the room. Over. Yeah.
Yeah, Vash is out there saying the military standard is 30. Yeah, for an M4 it is. For an AK style weapon it is. So
I just want one of the old school BARs, I think it is, the belt fed, or what the heck is it, that you just run it through. I mean, come on. Who doesn't remember Mother in
well, that was the big, that was the M60.
Yeah, the M6. I mean, come on, now that I would consider from, high capacity. Now, I could get that, but I still want one.
The BAR was cool. I mean, it was select fire. It was man portable. It only took one person to lug it around, which was why Uncle Sam asked John Moses to come up with it. It had a drawback of only 20 rounds in its clip. Clipazine, Maga clip. It had a 20 round detachable box magazine, but on the upside, those 20 rounds were all still 30-06 ammo. So there was that.
I think we got to bring Tommy guns back too.
Well, Tommy guns never left. It's just it's super, super expensive to own one in full auto because they cost tens of thousands of dollars to buy one, and that's after you get the paperwork for it and the tax stamp.
Right.
Vash says belt fed standard capacity is 150. He thinks. I couldn't tell you. I don't know what the standard capacity of linked belts are. All right, Defense Dad, we'll kick this one off here. Range pet peeve of his is old guys who give you crap if you shoot anything but a bolt action at the rifle range. You shoot what you want and I'll do the same, he says. That's, I think, definitely generational, but there are definitely people who are out there that will poo-poo that. And I guess at the very least, be happy that they're just poo-pooing you shooting it at the rifle range, but they're not begrudging you ownership of or possession of said device. Because that's one that gets me all the time, is when people say, well, first of all, they don't know anything but what the news told them. So they think that this is some sort of deer blowing up, lung blowing clear out of your body sort of contraption. And then they want to know why anybody would need to own one of these. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is besides the ignorance itself, is the notion that I need it to have it. And how many times, not in a day, it's not every day, but how many times throughout the year I have to just back everything up and unpack that one first, that the need doesn't even arise. That's not in the conversation. Throw that word out, because that's, the Constitution says we don't need it. And if you want to have that conversation, just bring up other things like, what kind of vehicle do you drive? Why do you need to have that? Is it a high capacity child hauling kind of an automobile, or a high capacity fuel tank, or a high capacity speed, something like that? I mean, there's so many things that people don't even stop to think about. They've bought into the notion that the government should have some sort of say, and you should have to prove cause before you're allowed to exercise certain rights. So that's for sure true.
I did come up with one pet peeve for my range, since I don't normally go to a regular range. It's when my cows get in the road of my shot placement.
Okay, I'm getting bad static. I seem to do this a lot here lately. Joe and Travis, I can still understand you guys. Everybody out there can still understand Pat but me, right? That's usually how this works.
Yeah, we can understand Pat.
Yeah, we can hear him.
Okay, so
he needs to get out of his farm simulator there and actually join us. No,
everybody's doing it. It's just that you two, I can understand you better. So I'm not sure what the difference is. Defense Dad says,
okay, Hank.
Defense Dad says had one swear that an AR can't be accurate. I showed him what 1-inch MOA out of a mil-spec AR looked like at 100 yards. Good for you, Defense Dad. That's awesome. I don't know that I could do such a thing. Maybe, well, my AR doesn't
optics.
have
It's pretty easy
either.
You're not running irons. It's pretty easy, but yeah.
I mean,
John, have you seen the size of the scopes we put on ARs in our range test? They're just like, 50 millimeter reticles. It's like a giant telescope on the top. It's not hard at 100 yards, especially in the sled. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose if I put
make it look easy, make it look easy.
I've got a 0 magnification red dot on mine, so I am looking forward to putting it through its paces. Though, come this Sunday, I'll be up at Pierce, Nebraska. Norm Hood's gonna come up to Pierce this weekend, and I get to take a couple Norm Hood classes. So, little bit of a anticipation there. Can't wait for Saturday and Sunday to get here.
So are you going to offer those assault rifle defense classes, John? Because everything is an assault rifle. It looks like an M4,
we're working on right now for USCCA instructors, the only way to get certified to teach that course is to go to either USCCA headquarters in Wisconsin, or go to Birmingham area where Sean and Beth Alcazar are teaching those as well on their home range down there. We're trying to get it lined up. If we have enough USCCA certified instructors in this area to take the course, their training director is going to make the trip out to Nebraska to give the course. And it's not it's not a civilian course where you can just sign up and take it. It's the course for the instructors to become certified to teach it.
Oh yeah.
Then those instructors will be able to go out and offer that class as well. So yeah, to make a short story long, I will be offering that. And the way I understand it, it's not your typical urban rifle course. We're talking about using your AR-15 in the house, at hallway distance or bedroom distance. We're not talking about, pushing it out to 50, 100, 300 yards, whatever. We're talking about measuring distances in feet here and using your AR for that. So really looking forward to being able to make that happen. And we just got to get it nailed down and then get it scheduled for later in the summer. And hopefully they don't schedule it on a time that I can't make it, since I've been helping get this going. Was kind of my idea, talking with our Delta Defense rep here in Nebraska, or one of them. All right, what else do we have that I'm not seeing any other comments out there? So Travis, we'll come back around to you. Any other pet peeves? I'm sure you got a list.
Oh man, I can think for a second here. Yeah, I mean, one of them is obviously, the application of the term assault rifle. Even my mom and my grandma will use that. I heard he used an assault rifle, and and it's for an AR style, AR looking firearm essentially, and just the way that's they get that shock factor out there, and then they'll turn around and say, well, it was an AR-15 style weapon, or it even wasn't in the end. Once they confirm what the weapon was, it's like a Kel-Tec Sub 2000 or something along those lines. Just little things like that are just used to kind of hold us back as law-abiding gun owners, to make us, to demonize us essentially. That's something that definitely drives me crazy.
All right, give me just a second, guys. I will be right back.
Yep.
Pat looks like he's frozen his farm simulator.
You know what else drives me now? I can throw another one out there, John. One that's kind of a big one in our community. I'm a member of a couple different gun groups on Facebook. There's a few that I joined for certain brands of firearms that tend to cost a little bit more, and I'm also in a few brands that cost a little bit less. And there's a lot of shaming and trolling that happens to people. A lot of just bullying and picking on people that are part of the High Point Owners Group or the Bear Creek Arsenal Owners Group. In fact, there's a group out on Facebook that made a Bear Creek Arsenal Facebook group, and what they do is they post their pictures of their high-end ARs that they own or claim to own, and then they say, oh, look at my new Bear Creek, and it's like a Daniel Defense, or it's like a Knight's Armament, or just strictly and it's like Bear Creek Armor, because then Bear Creek people, they want to join that group, and they join up and like, what the hell is this group? What is this? And it's not. And the sad part about that is, if it came down to it, and we all had to defend ourselves against a common enemy, are we still going to sit there and caliber shame each other when we're sitting in a ditch shooting for our lives? No, probably not.
No.
When it gets down to it, is there really that much hate between the groups because you're poor and I'm not? Is it just like guys just kind of monkeying around like guys do? I sometimes wonder, because they'll sit there and rip on somebody. And I mean, I'm just going to say something right now. I've got a Bear Creek Arsenal rifle. It's going to be 7 years old, that I bought 7 years ago this coming September, and I put thousands of rounds through, and I've never had any issues with it at all. And I've done the first 1,000 rounds through, it was all steel case. And that's a company that gets ripped on quite a bit, and they've had some questionable hiring practices in the past and things like that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the final product itself. They're not perfect, but mine has never failed. And then the excuse from those people that pick on you is like, well, you just got lucky and got one that works. Well, no, I've got a dozen of them, and I've had 3 that have had problems, and I've sent them back and got them fixed. I've also had 3 brand new cars that had oil consumption issues in less than 50,000 miles. One's a Honda, right? They're bulletproof. Yeah, right. So, nothing is perfect in this world. They're tools, and tools fail.
I had a similar conversation here just within the last couple of weeks on Facebook. I don't even remember what the post was to begin with, and somebody was ripping on Taurus. And
they've got a crappy past. I mean, let's just get that out. They've had issues. They've had recalls, but so have other companies.
Most companies that have been around for years and years and years have had that slump, especially changing ownership. I mean, look at Colt or look at Remington. They've had their days in, well, not days in the sun, days in the mud, I guess, as well. But somebody was saying that absolutely never own a Taurus. Their quality control's crap. When you go to rely on it, it's just going to fall apart in your hand. And I said, well, that might be your experience, but Mine have always done remarkably well.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of rounds down range with mine, and mine are revolvers, so they're not automatics. Well, my TX22 is. I don't have thousands of rounds down range with it, but it's never let me down. My Tracker series revolvers have never let me down at all, and one of them I bought used. So
and again, here's the thing: they sell a ton of firearms, and you're going to hear about that one bad one out of 100,000 that was made on Friday at 4:00. So and I think with their G series pistols, and I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, but I think their G series, G2C, PT1, and G2s really changed their image. They put together a decently well-designed firearm that runs, and they're not perfect. Even the TX22s had some barrel issues when they first came out, and then people just dismiss it as being, well, it's just a trash firearm,
The thing about Taurus, though, is, and I can speak about them specifically, just because they moved from everything manufactured in Brazil to a lot of stuff manufactured in Florida, which is now Georgia. They've got a brand new facility in Georgia. Their quality control keeps going up and up and up, and the products keep getting, not only the tried and true products are just as good or better than ever, but they're coming out with new stuff all the time. And now they've got 2 revolvers out in their executive grade lineup that it's basically like a performance center revolver from Smith and Wesson at half the price.
Yeah. I think they're about 600. Yeah, you're right. They're about,
their executive grade 856 is $600-700. The Judge that they just came out with a little while ago is like $800-900, but still, these have slicked up actions and tuned up triggers. They like my Performance Center 642. It's got a lighter trigger pull. I think it's about a 9-pound trigger pull instead of 12 or 13 on a box stock 642. And the executive grade revolvers from Taurus, same kind of thing. Nice satin finish on them and nice rosewood grips and whatever else. I think tritium front sight, or at least glow in the dark front sight. Good stuff. I haven't got a chance to shoot one, but I think I'd like to. I think I'd like to get one of the 856, not the Judge.
Yeah, I think the revolvers now are decent.
But I would take my chance on them. I would love to have a Taurus Raging Hunter and take that out for deer, in a 460. That would be really, really cool. And I would trust that gun to not blow up in my face when I am, trying to bag a deer with it or something like that, but the same thing goes for High Point. There's, for every one person that likes High Point, you'll find 100 of them that'll rag on them. 99 out of those 100 have never touched one.
They have, and they've moved on, but they won't admit it, because so many guys have had a High Point carbine, or they've got one in their closet, or
those guys typically aren't the real gung-ho, though. The real gung-ho ones that'll rip on the High Points, most of those have never even touched one. All they know is what they've seen in other comments on other posts. They've never even read an honest to goodness Gunwriter review off of a High Point. And if they were crap, Tony Simon wouldn't have them as one of his sponsors for Diversity Shoot.
Yeah.
They've supplied him with a lot of firearms for Diversity Shoot. And he's got nothing bad to say about the product or the company either way.
It goes bang every time.
Yeah.
It just weighs like a brick.
Yeah, you shoot your, 8 rounds or 10 rounds, and then then you can start banging on people's heads with it too.
Yeah, the JXP 10 of mine, it's just as big as a cordless drill. It really is. I thought about retrofitting it with a cordless drill if they would do. I wish they'd make a cordless drill slide with a battery pack that would go in the mag. I would so buy that. That thing is great.
The thing is, though, because I have not shot a High Point, but with that much weight,
it's interesting. Yeah.
Does that soak up the recoil from a 10 millimeter and make it not that bad?
Yes and no. It feels like a 40 plus P in the grip itself. It's a very plasticky, hollow grip, so you feel a lot of that recoil. But what's funny is the slide is so heavy. Not only do you have the slide returning, but there's this secondary, the amount of that mass stopping. It actually causes like a ka-chunk when it's like having like a marble, and when you throw it, the weight hits the end and chugs. That's what if you fire it. It's like boom, boom. boom.
That's
like
awesome.
It just like by the time you can actually watch the side like cycling. It's so slow when it cycles that it's like God, do I have to? God, do I have to? But it's fun to shoot. And hey, I got it for $215 out the door, and it's threaded, and it's gonna be optic compatible. And I'm sorry, nobody else is doing. Heck, Glock doesn't even have a single stack 10mm. I'm sorry, but it's
Mm-mm.
And the thing is, if this gets somebody into guns, I've had a lot of family members buy the least expensive firearm they can get. And it was the only gun they're gonna get. But then they see this in the store and they buy this, and then they see this and they buy that. I think it's a nice gateway drug, if you will, into the world of firearms, having these low-cost firearms, because then I'm going to splurge a little, get myself a Beretta, I'm going to get myself a Smith, or get a Glock, or get a nice revolver. I mean, that it just, don't we want more of these people in our community? Do you not want those numbers to be able to boast when it comes time to defend our rights?
I'm glad you said that, because we're going to talk about that before the night's over.
All right.
So Defense Dad's given us a little bit of some spoilers, maybe. Travis, do you want to talk about this? You're going to have a custom DeWalt Cerakote put on yours.
Oh, absolutely, man. Oh, yellow and black, have the DeWalt upper that goes on there. And somebody needs to make one. They need to have a drill motor because there's enough room. If you pulled out the barrel, you could put a motor in there and then have a battery pack on the handle and have it come right out the front. Have a chuck on the end of it. I should take apart like a Harbor Freight drill.
I'm really curious.
You could easily fit it in the slide with
because that's got a threaded barrel. So it's got a thread protector on it, right?
It does. Yes. Yeah.
So you could get your thread protector Cerakoted and make it look like a chuck.
Oh, easy. Oh God, yes. Yeah. And then it doubles as a roof, like a shingles hammer if you need it. It's pretty much a car jack, or you could jack a car with it. I mean, there's a lot you could do with it. So,
Now, I don't want to turn a high point into a DeWalt drill. I just want you to see you get that DeWalt Cerakote done on it. So it looks like you're pulling out a drill, and then all of a sudden it's actually a cordless hole puncher.
Everybody that holds that gun or looks at oh my God, because it's just so ungainly. The thing is bigger than, it just dwarfs my Walther PDP, which is a full size handgun. It just it's your chubby 6'2" uncle that shows up for Thanksgiving, and you just make your dad look like
high points are geared for comfort.
Yeah. Well, they're better now. I mean, they got a new grip texture, so it actually sticks in your hand better. Like when you're shooting it, it actually grips instead of sliding out. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
All right.
45 and a high point. But I tell you what, as much grief as we give high point guys, a buddy of mine brought one of those carbines, 9mm carbines, high point, probably 10 years ago. I tell you what, that thing is it's lightweight. It does have a little bit of a plasticky feel, but it is so much fun to shoot, and it
just keeps going
every time.
Yeah.
And it's not bulky, which is really, the first gun I ever shot was that carbine, and I was like, hey, this isn't a bad little gun. And then about a month or two later, another buddy shows up with a high point pistol, and I'm like, this is the same company.
Same mag,
yeah. But I mean,
Joe, I've got it like a later production Gen 1 that was probably pushing 20 years old right now. I have one that I actually traded my Jimenez J22 pocket pistol for with 2 boxes of mini mags straight up for a high point carbine. And it's it's like somebody like literally like sheet metal screwed a Picatinny rail on the top of it. It's got a janky Bushnell on it, and you know what? It'll shoot a 1-inch group at 25 yards. All day, and it cycles anything. I've got a video on it for proof. The thing's a little beast, man. I got no front side on it because the screws are stripped off. It just runs. It don't care. And the best part about it is if I ever have problems with it, I can call them up and I can get that gun replaced for free. Doesn't matter how old it is. It doesn't matter. Glock doesn't even do that. Glock gives you a 3-year warranty on the guns, I think. Most of these companies give you 1. And even then, they don't cover for a warranty unless you register it in the first 30 days. A lot of guys don't even read the manuals that know that. So a lot of your warranties aren't even active unless you register the gun with them. So
he had a bolt come out in the handle area. On his, and it wasn't holding the mag right. And he tried to find a part for it, and then he basically just called up High Point, and they said send it in. He's like, man, I only need this little screw deal, and they sent it to him. He fixed it. Didn't cost him nothing.
Sometimes they'll throw a free mag in there. Like I broke mine cleaning it, my 45. When the first time I took it apart, I broke it. And I had to send it in and get it fixed. And they sent it back with a free mag. And they also sent me a full color, which they now use as their manual. I want to say something. High Point's instruction manuals are top notch. They are absolutely fantastic. The way they describe everything step by step, the pictures they use, like they are just, it's crazy. It's just like a little book.
Well, that makes sense because
Yeah.
I mean they're marketed to people that probably aren't going to
Yeah.
have extra money to take this thing into a gunsmith.
Yeah, I mean, my Beretta A300 Patrol didn't even come with a manual. I had to download it from the website, and it's shared with the other Ultima shotgun. So like the Patrol has like its own little subsection wedged in there between the other parts. It's like, oh, if you have a Patrol, do this instead. It's like, thanks, Beretta. You know,
It's awesome.
then High Point produces this wonderful, lovely manual that you can go through. You know, so yeah, people that rip on them, I mean, just be thankful they're into it, and then encourage those people to try other guns down the road. That's what I've had family doing. We've made gun people out of them. You know.
Yeah,
So,
I mean the thing is, you spend a couple $100 on a High Point, and then you're not that far into your pocket, right? So down the road, yeah, buy something else, but you can trade that off, or you can keep it, and do whatever. If you ever need to like tie the dog up, you can just tie the dog to it, and the dog won't go anywhere. I mean, they're
good
they're
anchor
great.
for a 2-person
You can
paddle
anchor your
boat.
John boat with it,
Yeah,
canoe,
absolutely.
whatever you got. I mean.
Yeah, it probably would shoot if you
down,
pulled it out of
if
the
you got
water.
stuff you don't want blowing away, like a stack of plywood or something, and there's a tornado coming, just put your High Point on top of it, and it won't blow away. There's all kinds of uses for them. They're not just guns. All right, switching gears here. Defense Dad's got a lot of pet peeves that he wants to air out tonight. Ultimate pet peeve, though, and keep in mind this is coming from he's one of those guys. He's a southpaw. He shoots with his left hand. Ultimate pet peeve: people who aren't joking when they tell him to learn to not shoot left-handed and stop being picky about what handguns he buys based on ambidextrous features. Now, I just got the latest edition of Shooting Illustrated in the mail yesterday, and their cover article on that is a review of the new Savage 1911, which for those of you history buffs, you probably know this. Savage actually got beat out by Colt with Browning's 1911 design for the Army trials, and so they took their 45 and toned it down and made it I think a 380. The Savage model 1907 pistol was pretty popular back in the day. So now they've got the one that came out a couple years ago, the little plastic frame 9mm, and now they've got a 1911 coming out. And in that article, the I don't even remember who reviewed it, but the author said, it's got an ambidextrous safety on it, and the author was also left-handed, and he said, honestly, we have the technology. Why would any company not make ambidextrous safeties on their gun in this day and age? And I mean, that's a very valid point. What did he say there? 18% of the firearms market are left-handed. That's a sizable chunk.
What
so
about mag release?
Well, mag releases on a lot of guns are reversible. Not a lot of them are
It's
truly
not on the Savage,
ambi,
unfortunately, but yeah.
But most of them can be switched over.
Yeah, but that takes more effort. You could just have an ambidextrous mag release.
Well, I know a lot of people that I've got a friend who's left-handed who likes the European style paddle release because those are 100% ambidextrous. The paddle is on both sides of the trigger guard there. So if it's got that, and if it's got an external safety, if that's ambidextrous as well, the only drawback is it's not a true left-handed gun if it ejects to the right. But aside from that, if you don't limp wrist your gun, then you don't get brass back in your face anyway. Shooting left-handed on a right-handed gun.
Does anybody make a left-handed 1911?
I've seen true left-handed guns out there.
I know that. Well, I know Charter Arms used to make a left-handed revolver that would eject the cylinder out of the other side, so you could use your left thumb to pop it out on the right.
Now that just seems like an abomination to me.
Well, it looks just like a regular revolver.
Those lefties don't need to be jacking up revolver designs. Those things have been perfected for over 100 years.
Look, if Defense Dad ever has to save you, don't you want him to be able to reload as fast as humanly possible? Come on, man. You got to think about the scenario.
If it's coming down to, first of all, Defense Dad saving me, second of all, with the revolver, there's a pretty good chance that my butt's just gone anyway. So no, I'm kidding. The Defense Dad, I'm sure it would be quite capable of saving me or anybody else. And
so Cabot makes left-handed 1911, so you can finance
Cabot
one.
makes 1911.
If you don't want a pickup truck, but you want a gun, go over and get a Cabot. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, they make a lefty
stuff that I'll never be able to even afford to go look at in a museum.
It's called the National Standard Southpaw, and it's only $5,700. So there you go. You can finance it if you want to. The National Standard Southpaw.
Joe, we've got a request out there in the comment section. Apparently it's the Joe show now. Never mind me. It's my show. Dang it, CJ. But whatever. Sheriff Smith is wanting to know if you can give a shout out to Dana and Katie.
Hey, Dana. Hey, Katie. I seen that CJ said hi on there. He was the sheriff you had on last week.
Yes, that's true. One of the two sheriffs I had on last week.
He was the Nebraska sheriff. Okay.
The one from Nebraska. Yes. The one that I've met in person.
I hope those guys are doing well this evening. They hail out from clear on the other side of the state. We're all kind of on the eastern side. Pat, well, he's almost Kansan. We'll claim him, but he's so close to Kansas. It's
even closer than Benkelman is. Yes.
Right. But we won't hold it against him.
Hey now.
He's still playing in his farm simulator. You know, most of us have to buy like a gaming device. He's got the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, put the speak and spell down for a second, okay, bud? I hear you speaking American.
I have to put up with for being a farmer. Here I am feeding these people, and all I did is nothing but smack.
Here, Pat, I can't hear you. Let me grab my can with the string attached to it.
I'm cussing right now.
All right. Going back through some comments here. Michael Frost on Facebook says, hard to catch us when he's gardening until nightfall. Well, there's your trouble. Come in earlier. We do this every week, Michael. Every week. Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time, the only time zone that matters. Every week. You'd think you could set an alarm or something to remind you it's Wednesday. I got to knock off early. If we're not that important to you, I don't know what would be. Honestly, I'm a little incensed right now. I also just made that up. I'm really not upset, but I'm still not going to accept your excuse. You knew that we were doing this. We always do this. So no excuses, Michael. Better late than never, though. I'm glad you're here. CJ does said hi, John. So did Dana. So now I'm feeling the love. That's all I needed was a little love.
CJ said something about the Canic too. I got a buddy of mine that I do competitions with, and I haven't shot a Canic yet. You guys probably seen it more than I have, but my buddy, he says, man, for a cheaper gun, he really likes the way it handles, the way it shoots. It's accurate. You guys got any feedback on that one? I haven't had the opportunity yet.
Let me answer for John. He won't buy one because they're made in Turkey, but I've owned one because, well, Turkey's a NATO ally, and I care about our allies. But anyway, they have wonderful triggers on them. They're fully ambi. They've got a beautiful pedigree tracing themselves back to the Walther P99. They're great value. They come with multiple mags. They come with, but they also support a terrorist government, so you buy with your conscience.
If anybody could give me definitive proof, one way or the other, I cannot find it. If you can find it, let me know if the Turkish government funnels money that eventually ends up in the hands of ISIS. Because if they do, I will not support that economy. If they don't, and we have definitive proof that that's been debunked and it's 100% myth, there seem like some great guns coming out of Turkey that I would love to love, but it's not going to happen. Now, what's more important in CJ's comment is that he finally got his first Henry made in the USA or not at all. So, I mean, that's what's important. Henry has gotten super proud of their stuff lately, though. Henry's kind of gone the way of Savage. They used to be pretty darn affordable until they started to get popular, and now Savage is right up there with, all those other bolt action hunting rifles, especially with their 110 action. I mean, you can't hardly touch a 110, a decent one, not some cheap scope kit thing, that Shields puts out a dime a dozen, but an actual good grade 110 action, you're not going to find it for under $500-600.
Yeah, or zip screwed to a high point.
Right. And Henry's, gotten even their model, H001, the basic, blued 22 with the normal lever and all that.
$900.
Those things used to be $250, didn't they? And now, now you're looking at what, $350, $400?
Yeah, your Marlin 336 is, you used to be able to get them for $400, $500 at Walmart or less. $375 for a 336 now. the Ruger Marlins are $1,099 MSRP. That's if you can even find one for that price. Since they just came out, everybody's got them jacked up to ridiculous prices. So
yeah,
I just know because I've been shopping for them. I've had a couple chances to buy one now, and I passed. But
I did see a comment. Speaking of Marlin, I did see a comment from Defense Dad. I can't find it now, but he said that another pet peeve of his, people giving him grief for putting a scope on his Marlin lever gun. He's like, an old guy with old eyes, I need the scope. Like, yeah, whatever gets you on target, it's not dumb if it works. So that's
furthermore, dude,
me
semi buckhorn sights are just a pain. Maybe I don't have enough seat time with one, but they're hard for me to shoot accurately. Mainly because I don't really know where I'm supposed to be pointing. It's like, does it sit on top of the diamond? Do I cover it? I mean, and the semi buckhorn covers so much of your target that past a certain distance, I mean, it's just you're covering up your entire target, you know. So I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of those. And plus, like, yeah, my eyesight sucks. So I do have a scope on top of mine, but that gives me an excuse to go buy one that doesn't have a scope, so I can have the truck gun with the iron sights on it. And then, you know, and I actually I've been considering picking up another lever gun just for that reason.
Or make Colonel Cooper happy in his, you know, so he's happy in his final resting place, and put a scout scope on one.
True. Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
I mean, this, if you make it a true scout gun, who's going to give you crap? If it was good enough for Jeff Cooper, it's good enough for you and everybody else. Defense Dad says Pat's got dual miniguns mounted on his tractor, which sucks that he's in his sprayer right now. But when he gets back to the tractor, yeah, I think he's got like a James Bond thing where he pushes a button and they drop out on either side of the tractor hood and they fire right over top of the front wheels. It's a pretty neat deal, actually. He's got a what is it? An Austin Martin Chalmers tractor.
I like my Alice Chalmers now. I got 2 D17s. All right, I want like a 175.
I grew up on. I've got more hours on a D17 than any other tractor combined.
Really? I got 2 of them. I got one with a rebuild engine in it. It's got the bigger oil ports and everything. Never mind. It's a gun show.
Yeah, there's a tractor talk next week. Watch, that'll be a record-setting episode, John. We'll talk tractors and won't even mention guns once. Except where do you put your gun in your tractor? That's the only time it's going to come up in the conversation.
You know, people talk about the best quote-unquote truck gun all the time, but we need to go have a tractor gun chat. And if I tell you what, if I could handle a firearm on a live stream on YouTube, I would I'd uncase one from right behind me and show you the ultimate tractor gun, because that's exactly what it was. Let's see here. Oh, CJ says nobody else is saying it. Hi, Travis. Travis gets love too.
Hello, Clinton. Defense has mad at me.
Oh, we're on the big screen in the living room. Wow, now I feel that we're all getting some love. This is not a face that this one here should not belong on a big screen ever.
No. The screen adds 50 pounds to the 50 pounds extra the cameras already give us. So John and I are actually a spelt 175 when we're not on camera. So, you know, yeah.
They say the camera adds 10 pounds. My diet added the other 200. So
turn off the radar detector.
Or stop hitting stuff.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Just kidding, dude.
No, I'm done. I'm headed back. I'm headed back to the yard now.
Stay away from the fence, and that thing won't go off. So.
Pull the arms in, Pat. Quit trying to knock out power poles.
Let's tell Google to return you home.
Let's get back on track here before we wrap this up. Other pet peeves that you guys have
I gotta think here
that we need to talk about.
Yeah, the pet peeve I've got is Hank Hill over there telling me I'm playing Farm Simulator.
You could be. Those could be just screens around you. You could just green screen in it right now, and some little cockpit you bought off the eBay, you know?
Wow. That's what I thought. We had the steering wheel attachment and everything.
He's just sitting there going like this the whole time, you know?
Right.
That would be awesome.
I think that's exactly what it is.
It's the farming simulator. You bought off Wish.com. It's the whole capsule. You feel like you're really driving the.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, really, I'm down in my basement, and I'm just sitting in the cab with a full screen around me.
Well, someday you'll be driving your tractor from your basement, Pat, or the drone will be driving it for you, so you won't have to worry about it. So we probably already have autonomous tractors. I wouldn't be surprised if they're already out there. So,
they're already out.
We do have autonomous tractors now.
Pat just sitting on his recliner with his keyboard and his joystick running the track. He's got some Doritos. He's just sitting there, you know. Yeah.
Oh, better than that. Those things will drive themselves now.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
All
you got to do is take over.
Oh, yeah. I've got auto steer. No doubt about it.
As many times we heard it beep, it's
Yep.
probably a good thing you do.
Yep. The new ones, you don't even have to do that.
Wow.
Yep.
That's getting bad. I didn't realize that Elon Musk was making tractors, but all right. If we don't have
Anyway.
any other pet peeves, dearest, do you have any gun pet peeves that you want me to throw up on the show here? She says no. It's time to wrap it up.
John, I got one last one. It's that person that goes and buys like that $1,000 rifle or that $1,500 rifle, and then they put like a $30 optic on it. It's like,
Oh
come
my
on, man,
gosh.
just get yourself a decent bit of glass on it, for God's sakes, man. Don't. Okay, everybody, we all have the $25 Bushnell. Okay, I get it, but dude, come on, man. Let's grow up a little.
I'm going to, not that this is a competition. There's a pet peeve whenever it's that guy that thinks everything's a competition. You know, oh well, you've got
John.
you know that's
optic
a nice
shaming.
That's a nice 4-inch barrel. You know, mine's 6.5 inch, but you know who's measuring.
You shoot 9mm.
Aside from that, so I will see your $25 Bushnell optic and raise you the guy that says, you know, your scope should cost more than your rifle. You know what? If you've got unlimited funding and you can adhere to that philosophy, go for it.
Go get your Swarovski. Go get your Steiner.
But I also have killed a lot of deer with a sub $400 optic.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I've never had a gun that had a scope that cost more than $370, and they've all done very well for me.
Here.
So now, do I lose that 2 or 3 minutes of hunting time at the end of the night before during last light where it's legal to shoot, but I probably can't get a good clear scope picture because I didn't have a bigger objective lens or something like that, or a better quality scope, maybe, but I'm not spending an extra $1,500 on 3 minutes of hunting time a day either. So I mean, if the deer doesn't step out until 2 minutes before it's no longer legal to shoot, then you know what, smart deer probably live to munch another night too.
One thing I want to say real quick is there's a lot of great, and I'm just saying myself, somebody who's tested a lot of like $100 scopes on his channel, and a lot of my channel was built on these inexpensive optics. There's a lot of great options out there you can get. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a decent scope, especially if you're just going to go out to like say 200 yards. You're okay. I mean, if you just, as long as you get the right magnification level that you need, I'm thinking of like Vortex, or I'm thinking of Monstrum, or even like Leopold's got some sub $200 models you can get that'll lifetime guarantee. Vortex is a great, but if it puts meat on the table, who cares? If you can shoot an inch at 100 yards, it's good enough. Especially if you know what your ranges are going to be shooting.
The other thing that I see though, because I love my Vortex scopes.
Yeah.
If you start looking,
it's a good working man scope. Yeah.
If you start looking at their higher end lines of scopes, like their Vipers and their Razors and that kind of stuff, you're out of hunting scopes and you're into PRS stuff.
Yeah.
You're into Christmas tree reticles, and you've got to pick between the MRAD or the MRAD or the MOA spacing on the reticle marks and that kind of stuff. And I don't know how to read that Christmas tree to begin with. So, I mean, it's once you stick within, if it's a hunting rifle, I don't want that Christmas tree reticle cluttering up my view. I want a good duplex bullet drop compensator reticle. That's what I want. Maybe give me some compensation marks for windage, but for sure give it to me for elevation, and we'll go from there. I want a duplex style reticle in there, and we're good enough. And that's
Primary Arms, they've got great ones for under. I've got one that's 175. I've been using it for 5 years on numerous guns.
I know
I've
some
yet to
people
break
have
it.
had great luck with like Citron, which doesn't make a super expensive product either. So there's some good stuff out there. So don't poo-poo the $100 scope, but also don't insist that it has to be a $2,000 scope plus before it's worth anything either, because there's some great sub $500 stuff out there that will get you that deer, unless you're spending thousands of dollars to go hunt in the Ural Mountains or something, and then sure, get the best gun and the best scope that you can afford to get. Then it's fine. You might be shooting an $800 shot across from one mountain to another. Bash wants to know, how much is the minimum I can spend? Whoops. On my LPVO, AR red dot, and RMR red dot. 0. The minimum you can spend is 0.
You know, for the LPVO, again, look into like an entry level Vortex. What I don't know, what the Strike Eagle 3 or something, is that what they're up to now, or something like that? The 2 or 3, that'd be about $400. Okay, that's gonna be a little more on the high end. You get something for Monstrum for about what, 300 for an LPVO. For red dots, now I'm going to be honest with you guys. The older I get, I'm splurging now on these things because I've used just decent entry level stuff, and I'm trying to not snobbing up, but I'm starting to get just fun stuff now that I've wanted to get. Because I'm at a point where I can afford these things. Like I'm going EOTech for my red dots instead of just getting, you know, like a hollow.
Now having said what I just said,
yeah,
I also will 100% recognize the fact that some of this stuff, when you do step up that extra couple $100, it's noticeably different, especially in low light with optics.
Better light gathering.
The better lenses, better lens coatings, the better light gathering.
Less
There's
distortion,
a huge difference
magnification.
I mean, between the cheap Tasco $30 binoculars out of Walmart and some good high quality Nikon Leupold Vortex binoculars that are, $300-400 binoculars, not even the $1,000 stuff. It's noticeable just between those different optics. So I mean, if you can afford to get the better stuff, test it out, go for it.
Buy once, cry once, and a lot of those things will have a lifetime guarantee. And if you're going to take the weekend off of work and you're going to go hunting and put all that time and effort into it, just treat yourself a little bit to something that's going to give you a better experience. If you're not into that kind of thing, then you really can't change a lot of those people. But I know I like having a better optic. It makes my life so much easier, especially the older I get,
Oh yeah.
Which is failing vision basically. So yeah.
That's what it comes down to is once the eyes start wearing out, you need all the advantages you can get to, and you owe it to yourself, especially in a hunting situation, or in a self-defense situation. Either way, you owe it to yourself to be able to determine what's your target and what's not.
Yeah.
Or
again, if you got stigmatism like me, you're limited to holographic optics or prism. I mean, now I've gotten lucky for whatever reason. I have astigmatism, and my optometrist says it's really bad. But my stuff doesn't starburst. But I have got a stepdad that it's just a fuzzy dot, and for me, it's actually pretty sharp and crisp. So maybe my eyes are just weird like that. But I mean, for some people, you can't.
It is for me though too. I mean,
the red dot just doesn't work. They don't have an option.
I don't see that starburst. My bride does. Just driving at night, all the headlights look like starburst to her. She said, and even after the LASIK surgery, she still has that.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna wrap things up. We'll give everybody a chance to give your final thoughts, any shameless plugs, and then after that, stick around if you want to know about the big event coming up next week in Lincoln, diversity shoot type of a thing that's going to happen. So we will talk about that. If you're still around, you can get those details. Short answer right now: tune in Friday at 8:00. So 2 nights from tonight. Friday, May 19th, we will have an online town hall meeting with Tony Simon from Diversity Shoot. He actually was planning to come through the Great Plains states this year. It's not going to happen. He won't be here. But he's going to talk to us about why he started doing what he's doing. Excuse me. And then we'll talk about the event that's coming up on next Tuesday. So before we get to that, Joe, we'll give you a chance for any closing thoughts. Shameless plugs besides Diversity Shoot.
Well, you pretty much covered that one. I was really hoping Tony would be able to make it, but I know he had a few other things that were coming up. If you weren't able to see him last time or meet him when he was here, you really missed out on something. And hopefully maybe we can get him back in next year.
He's got some things in the works. I'll let him tell it Friday night, but he's gonna try for.
No, I'm just saying I look forward to seeing him again. I met him before and great person. We've actually constitutional carry. We're now almost to the end. We only have about another, I think, 10 days left of or 10 or
no more than that. It should go.
It's like 13 September, days, I think. No, it's supposed
about
to be done June
about 3 more
9th.
weeks.
Yeah, but actual days in legislation, there's only
they should
about
be done about
12
June
or
9th
13.
is when they're scheduled to be done.
But still, it's not. When does it become law, so to speak? When is it official?
90 days
all the
after
laws
it.
that get signed this year will take effect 3 months after the last day of the end of the session. So if they end on schedule on June 9, then they'll take effect on September 10th. But that's not locked in until the session is officially over.
I look forward to going gun shopping that weekend. So yeah, almost you guys.
And if you've been paying attention to legislation, then John is absolutely correct. It just kind of depends right now if it's going to be 9th or 10th or
if they have to extend it out a few days to get through some of this stuff. I hope they do, because there's some other non-gun stuff that's huge. It's had a huge win yesterday in our unicameral, not gun related, but the bill that's nicknamed the Let Them Grow bill that would prohibit gender reassignment surgeries on minors. So you have to be a legal adult. You have to be 19 before you can have that done. Has passed round 2 of 3. Also, before it passed, they adopted an amendment because our heartbeat bill died in one of the debates a few weeks ago. But that bill would have banned abortion after roughly 6 weeks when a fetal heartbeat is detectable. They amended it, and they went the wrong way. But I'll take something better than nothing. So they adopted an amendment that added back into that Let Them Grow bill that will ban abortions after 12 weeks. So that
actually
amended bill is advancing.
It's actually looking like, if you read the bill, it's closer to 10, John. So it is circumstances that are in place on that. But yeah, we're actually between 9 and 12. It's not dead set at 12. So we actually got a few more things out of it. Friday morning, or Friday sounds like the last thing they're going to have. There's 2 hours.
Yep.
There's 2 hours of debate, and then they'll have their final vote. So definitely,
if they get the cloture, yes, they will.
Yeah. If it's one of those deals, or if you're a believer, pray and hope this works out very, very well.
Right.
And those of us in the gun community, they're asking for our support. So if we're able to be there Friday, they would appreciate all the
a lot of
the
gun owners are pro-life. I mean, that's why some of us have some of our guns.
Yep, absolutely. So that's kind of my plug is if we're, as gun owners, are asking those of us that are a little more situational awareness and whatnot, that if we would be willing to show up, because they've been extremely outnumbered and some crazy things are going on. So if you're pro-life, you're a pro-gun owner, and you would like to see this through, if you're able to be there Friday, we would absolutely love to see you there. I will probably be down there myself on Friday.
That'd be cool. All right. I will not be there, but
you want to see my personality? I'm the good personality, the guy that always gets bullied by John Doyle.
It's true. Yep. And 3 out of 4 panelists realize it's true. All right, Travis, we'll move over to you for final thoughts and shameless plugs.
Yeah, just, again, a lot of the pet peeves are just little things in life that annoy us. And unfortunately, being gun owners, there's things that just kind of go along with it. So that happens. But it was fun discussion tonight, kind of get to vent a little and just kind of get it out there and let the world know how you feel about things. Otherwise, on my end, just check out Caliber Corner Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on my YouTube channel, Travis P11. I just dropped a new video today. Shout out to Meat Ammunition, because they did give us a lot of ammunition for Thunder on the Prairie 2023. It's going to be a good time. That's a Nebraska-based company, and I posted a video testing some of their it's brass-coated steel-cased ammo that's very fair priced. If you want to just get some range planking ammo, that's 147 grain. It's a really good deal. Check them out. Otherwise, Thunder on the Prairie is going to happen, so go over to nebraskashooters.com and get signed up for it if you want to come to it. That's going to happen the first weekend in June. And Defense Dad and I are getting everything wrapped together, and Blackout Coffee's got a big box coming for us of coffee and stuff for all the attendees. We've got VersaCarry is going to be hooking us up here pretty soon too. And also Cleanse Oil, again, Meat Ammunition. So we've got a lot of great sponsors on board. And, we're not big channels. I mean, I've got 50,000. Okay. But there's channels that have millions, and those guys are sponsored by those companies, and they want to, support the small gun community. I think it's a good thing. It really shows that they, that they do care. And that they want to get the word out all across the board. So
they want to support gun owners, not only big gun channels, which is really cool.
Yeah, and again, shout out to Nebraska Shooters for giving us the range those 2 days that weekend, because they're busy with classes, hosting nationally known, trainers and stuff, and they're awesome. So Nebraska Shooters is great, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So it's going to be a 2-day event.
All right, let's go through the list real quick. Over on the Facebook side, I saw Michael, and I saw, who else did I see out there? I saw one of them was just Facebook user because I couldn't see who it was. Steve was out there as well up in South Dakota. On the YouTube side tonight, we had Kingpin, Defense Dad, G-Webs, Mr. Knives, Gizzard Gary, Jeff Moeller, Travis P11, Woods, Vash Matrix, DJ Play Nice, Vanessa Kitty, Clinton Smith, Uplift Mofo, Party Plan, John Z, NJ Outcast with Disabilities, Dana Mathis, and Blitz. So thank you all for joining in and getting those comments in there. Those of you that watched without commenting, some of you I know why, some of you, shame on you. You should be commenting too. We want to know what you have to say and where you are. So make sure you do better next time. Michael, we will be here next week. As far as I know, we're planning to not take the night off after the Tuesday night event in Lincoln, 8:00 Central Time. So set your calendar, set your alarm, set your watch, whatever you got to do, Michael, so you don't show up late. Is it Mathis or Matthews? I'm saying it wrong. Maybe if I get your name wrong, it's because you've got one of those names that can go
Matais.
Matais. There we go.
Nice.
That's your own fault for for saying it wrong. That's your own fault.
Matthews.
Dana,
Matthews. They're so smart.
Matais. Anyway, I'm just making fun of you. Don't sick CJ on me. Anyway, all right.
Yeah,
so
he's only like 6'5".
Friday night, 8:00 Central Time, over on the NFOA YouTube, should be on Twitter, and Facebook pages. We will have that online town hall. Tony will be on the online town hall. He just won't come to the event. It's kind of last minute. Things kind of got dropped in our laps that we weren't planning on doing this event or hosting the event. We were going to help, and it's kind of gotten to where, again, I don't know how much of this I should say. I'll let Tony give you the details that he wants out. There are some things that were planned on that fell through. I'll leave it at that for now. NFOA has stepped in, and we're going to go ahead and have this event anyway in Lincoln, with or without Tony. So it's I don't think we're calling it Diversity Shoot, since that's his thing. He doesn't care if people do them, just don't hijack his name for his event. So we won't call it Diversity Shoot, but that's what it's going to be. So in the meantime, if you are in the Lincoln area and you have friends, or if you are not in the Lincoln area and you have friends or relatives who are in the Lincoln area, we need your help. We need to broadcast this far and wide. You can go to the NFOA Facebook page and get that event right now and share it far and wide. You can also share the online town hall. So if people want details, they kind of know what's going on. But make sure you're helping us with this, because we need to reach out. The whole point of a diversity shoot is because there should be no gatekeeping in the Second Amendment community or in the firearm owners community. And we only win these fights if we have got all of the people that we could possibly get on our side. And how do we do that? We reach out and try to find them where they are and invite them over for a no obligation. We're not going to do any politics. We're not going to talk about anybody's religious beliefs or political beliefs, or we're not going to talk about what their race is, or who they love, or who they worship, or if they worship. None of that is going to come into play. We're not even going to talk about sports teams or anything like that. It's all going to be simply, look, you are here. The Second Amendment applies to you as well. You have just as much right to defend yourself as anybody. You have just as much right to exercise all of these rights as anybody else. And we want you in our community, whether you believe that or not, because a lot of people, get mistakenly told, wrongly so, that that guns aren't for them and that we don't want them. And that is not true. So probably I've saved my biggest pet peeve for right now is when people try to say, well, you don't belong in our community. We don't want those people having guns. We don't want those people, giving us the moving in or whatever on our territory. You know what? Go pack sand with that idea. If we don't get people that don't think like you, look like you, worship like you, vote like you in the Second Amendment fold or in the gun owner fold, then we'll never change the laws. Why are we getting these laws passed in Nebraska right now? Because we need 33 votes to overcome a filibuster. We've only got 32 Republicans. So every filibuster that's been filibustered, there's been at least one Democrat that's voted that way. So we need to stop caring about how people are registered to vote. We need to stop caring about who they voted for last time. Let's get them in, show them that guns are not the scary thing the news said. Gun owners are not the white supremacists that the news said. And let's welcome everybody with open arms. So if your community, your ethnic background, your racial background, you've always been told you shouldn't be a gun owner. That's crap. Come and join us. If you've been told that because you're LGBT, the rainbow community, I say that because I can't keep track of all the right stuff. So if you're in the rainbow community and you've been told that we don't want you, that's crap. We do. We want you to come. We want you to join us. We just want you to bring an open mind and nothing else. And you'll get a chance to have a safety briefing. You'll get a chance to fire a gun. Maybe it'll be the first time that's ever happened. We'll take some of the mystique and the mystery out of that for you. It'll be in a safe, controlled environment with an actual instructor, side by side, one-on-one instruction, and you can fire a couple rounds and then you'll be done. But we want you and your friends to come out and join us. That's what it's all about. Because my biggest pet peeve is when somebody tells somebody else they don't belong in our communities, because they do. You do. You belong. If you're hearing my voice, we want you in our community. So, all right. That being said, we're going to wrap it up. I will see hopefully all or most of you in 2 more nights, at least out there in the chat. We'll have a few of our board members along with Tony on the screen so that you can again get those comments and questions in. One more time, it's Friday night, this coming Friday, May 19th, 8 p.m. Central. You can do the math if you're in one of those other time zones. That doesn't matter as much.
CJ and Dana.
Right?
Wait, how did you pronounce it again?
Did we say her name wrong? Are you sure it's Dana? Maybe it's Don A.
I know it's Dana. Okay, and she's just as honorary as CJ. So yeah.
It's Cajun. I think it's Creole, isn't it?
You know what? That's earlier, and I didn't put it on screen. Earlier, she uninvited me to her house for her cooking, I guess. So that's, if you're gonna uninvite me to your house, then I'm gonna pick on you. That's how it is.
You can handle some Easy Mac.
Also,
anybody can do Easy Mac. Right?
I have a policy that pretty much if you breathe oxygen, I'm gonna pick on you. So that's just how I am.
Ain't that the truth?
All right. On behalf of Pat, who had to drop off because he was bringing his rig in for the night, who just made a comment. I see that he just got done spraying. So on behalf of Pat in a sprayer, not in a bunker tonight, and Joe and Travis and Sandhill's Sweetheart and Liberty the dog and the Noisy Cats and myself, thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next week. Make sure you're checking out the upcoming event. I think we're going to call it a fun shoot. But it is designed to bring people who have never fired a gun. So if that's you, we want you there. If you are a gun owner and you're used to this stuff, but you've got that friend, bring them along, and we'll give them a chance to again to handle a firearm in a safe, controlled environment. It's going to happen at Big Shots Range in Lincoln, Nebraska, over on the west side of Lincoln, Tuesday night from 5 to 7. So that's the event. You can get all the details Friday night. We will see you there. It's time to go. We love you. God bless you. But, man, you know what you got to do. Get off my